Okay, so welcome back to the VDC space, and today we're gonna be covering a precast girder based on Australian standards. Basically, an Australian Super-T Girder in Revit. Now, before I get started, I would like to ask you guys to please like, subscribe, and share. And if you want more content, make sure you join my membership. Or if you want the project files, make sure you join my Patreon. Now, without further ado, let's start with our tutorial. So, the first thing is you're just gonna go to Revit, open up Revit, then say new family, and then you're gonna say metric structural framing, beams and braces, and say open. So we're just gonna remove these elements, the lines, the extrusions, these extra reference planes that come with the template, and we're just gonna increase the length and make it 15,000 millimeters. Okay, so after that, let's just extend this reference plane and then lock it again. So the basis of this is to create a profile, in one of the elevations. So we're gonna go to the left elevation. So on the left elevation, I'm just gonna drag this down, lock it again. And then after that, I'm gonna go to create and say reference plane. I'm gonna place one right there. And then I'm just gonna make the depth 1,800 millimeters. In that instance, I'm going to select this and say copy. I'm going to copy another one further by 325, another one by 50, and I'm just going to leave it like that. So I'm just going to go to create again and say reference plane. I'm going to place another one across like this. And then this one, I'm going to set it to 75 millimeters. And then I'm going to copy another one and make it 75 again. Okay, so after this, I'm gonna go to reference plane. So basically, we're creating reference planes to guide us on how we can model our geometry. So I'm gonna place one like this, vertical one, and then this one I'm gonna offset by 400 millimeters. So I'm gonna only work on one side on this one, and then just mirror everything to the other side. And then after that, I'm gonna okay, for my chamfer, it's which is gonna be there's gonna be like a recess right there. So that recess, we're gonna make it. I'm gonna make it 13 millimeters. So I'm just gonna reduce this for my recess. Just place it like that, and then select this, and I'm just gonna copy another one further. So, okay, let's do this. I'm gonna say reference plane. Let me just place it randomly like this. And then this one, I'm just gonna increase it and make it, let's say 1027 divided by 2. And then I'm just gonna copy another one further by 100 millimeters for my chamfer. And then I'm gonna copy another one further by, let's see, I'm gonna copy another one further by, let's see, I'm gonna make it, so it's gonna be 2130 minus, minus 400 minus 13 minus 100 and then minus open bracket, so it's going to be 1027 divided by 2 close bracket and press enter. So let's see what we have. So it's 11103.5. Okay, so after this, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select all these reference planes and say mirror, and then I'm going to mirror everything to the other side. And then right there at the bottom, I'm going to place extra vertical ones. So I'm going to place one right there. So this one I'm going to offset by 350. And then, yeah, I think that's fine. And then I'm just going to place another one right here at the top. So let me just place it like that. And then this one, sorry, let me just remove this. And then this one I'm going to offset by 265, place it like this. And then let's mirror the two of these to the other side. So, okay, so after this, I'm going to go to create my geometry and say extrusion. set my reference plane to reference plane left and say okay. And then I'm going to start from this point. I'm going to start from this point. Sorry about that. And I'm going to bring this down by 75. And actually, sorry, I'm going to start right there. At this point, take it down by 75. And then I'm going to go to that point, and then my chamfer is going to be 100 by 75, so I'm going to place it like that, and then diagonally is going to go down towards this point and then towards that point. So let's just mirror everything to the other side to make it easier, and then to make the geometry much more clean, I'm going to remove one line and then join this as a single line. So after this, I'm going to place the one another one like that, like this, and then towards that point. So our chamfer is going to be 13 millimeter in width, and our recess also is going to be okay. I'm gonna make my recess 15 millimeters is fine by 13 millimeters. And then from that point, I'm gonna place a diagonal one and then towards this point. Actually, I can start from this point and then place it like that and then join it like this. I think it's fine. So I'm going to select these lines and then mirror them towards the other side. From that point, there's going to be another dip towards that point and then towards this point. So this is how it looks. And then I'm just going to add a chamfer right there of 13 millimeters. So it's going to be 13, press enter, and then place it like that, and then say trim and extend, select this line, mirror it towards the other side, and then say trim and extend, trim and extend. Okay, so after that, you're gonna say finish and say reference level, yes, and then drag this to the other reference plane, lock it, drag this towards this reference plane, and then lock it. So this is basically how it looks. So after this, what you're gonna do is I'm just gonna change the material to concrete and say, let's say precast and say okay. And then after this, I'm gonna model my diaphragm wall. So my diaphragms are gonna go in three different sections: the one in the middle, the one at the ends. So in this instance, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna let me just enlarge this reference plane. I'm gonna go to the left elevation and say create and say extrusion. Set my reference plane to reference plane left and say pick lines. So I'm gonna pick only these lines right on the inside. And then I'm just gonna close my diaphragm. So it's gonna be like that. Let's consider this a recess right there. And I'm just gonna close it down like that and say trim and extend. And then say trim and extend. Say finish. Go to the reference level and lock this against the reference plane, and then my diaphragm, I'm just gonna make it 800. Okay, so let's see if we change this the length, the diaphragm maintains its position and also its length. So I'm going to change it to 20,000 millimeters. Perfect. Now it has retained its 800 millimeters and also its position. So I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to say create and say extrusion. I'm going to set my reference plane to reference plane right and say okay. And then I'm going to say pick lines, pick lines, pick lines, pick lines. Let's consider the recess right at the top also, and then it's closed down. I'm gonna say finish, go to the reference level, and then I'm just gonna drag it like this to lock it against the reference plane, and then just change its length to 800 millimeters. Let's test this one. So I'm gonna change this one back to 15,000, and it has maintained its position and also its length of 800 millimeters. Now the last one in the middle, I'm going to go to create and say extrusion, reference plane left, and then I'm going to say pick lines, pick lines, pick lines, and then I'm going to consider the recess again. Say place it like that, and actually let's just say cancel. I'm going to say create extrusion again. Let's set my reference plane to reference plane Let's see with center elevation. No, it's not gonna work. Okay, so I'm gonna say extrusion, set it to, let's see with front or back. No, it's not gonna work. Okay, let's set it to left and say okay. So I'm gonna say pick lines, pick lines, pick lines, pick lines, and say finish. Go to the reference level. I'm gonna drag this towards the middle. So right in the middle, I'm just gonna place some dimensions. So this one, I'm gonna make it, let's make it 1000 is fine, and then 1000 on the other side also. So let's see what happens, whether this one it's gonna maintain its position. So I'm gonna change this to 20,000 millimeters, and it's not going to change, so which is a problem. So I'm going to have to constrain this. So let me just constrain it like that, and then lock it, and then I'm just going to mirror this towards the other side. Let's see if I'm going to lock it against the middle reference plane like that. So this is basically how it looks. So if you change this, let's make it 20,000. Let's see what happens. So this one has maintained its position because it's not constrained against the left elevation. So I'm going to remove this one, select this one, and then mirror this one towards the other side. And then let's lock it against the reference plane, and then let's see what happens. So I'm going to change it to 30,000 millimeters, and it has maintained its position right in the middle. That's perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to join these two, make it one, and then I'm just going to select these and change their material. So this is what we have. All right. Okay. So the next thing is I'm just going to open up a dummy project. Yeah, sorry about that. So like I said, we're going to load this into our project, and we're just going to go to load into project. Make sure you open up a construction template or structural template, and when you can just place it by dragging it. So I'm going to make it, let's say 30,000 millimeters. And when you go to the 3D view, everything is maintained. The diaphragms are maintained in their positions and everything. So yeah, that's it. So to place it, you go to structure. Under structure, you go to beam, and it behaves like a beam. So obviously, you can place it. So this is the curving one, but we don't have curving girders like this. But just as an example of how versatile the structural framing template is. So yeah, that's it. This is how it looks. For those who are based in Australia, tell me what you guys think. I've been involved in some of Australian projects, so it will be good to get your perspective on some of the stuff I should cover in the future, or yeah, in terms of structures and bridges. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Make sure you join the channel membership to get more content and much more thorough tutorials. And if you want the project files, make sure you join my Patreon, and I will see you on the next tutorial. Peace.